Over the next few weeks, Mark and Julia meet often. Sometimes they drink tea. Sometimes they go for walks in the park. They talk about their lives, about work, about family, about small things. One day, Mark says, "I never had someone to talk like this before." Julia smiles. "Me too." They feel comfortable with each other. It feels easy, natural. One afternoon, they go to the old library in town. Julia shows Mark her grandmother's old diary. "Maybe you want to read some pages," she says. Mark opens the book. The pages are soft and brown. One line says, "Today I saw him again. He smiled at me. My heart was full." Mark reads in silence. Then he says, "She really loved him." "Yes," Julia says, "she did." They sit in silence for a few minutes. Then Julia says, "There's more. I found a photo." She hands it to him. It shows a man with dark hair standing near a river. He is holding a small boy. "That's you, I think," Julia says. Mark stares at the photo. "I've never seen this before." He touches the paper like it is glass. "I think they met once," Julia says. "Maybe your mum didn't want to talk about it." Mark nods. "She never told me anything." After a moment he says, "Can I keep this photo?" "Of course," Julia says. He puts it in his pocket. "I feel strange," he says, "sad, but also not alone." Julia smiles. "That's how I felt when I found the letters." They look at each other for a few seconds. "Would you like to meet again?" Julia asks. Mark says, "Yes, I would like that." After a long pause, Mark speaks. "Why did your grandmother keep the letters?" "I think she loved him very much," Julia says. "She told me he had a family, but they were far away. She never forgot him." Mark looks down. "So, your grandmother and my father, they were together?" Julia nods. "Yes, for a short time, before he met your mother." "Do you think she knew about my mum?" Julia shrugs. "Maybe not at first." Mark takes another sip of tea. It's cold now, but he doesn't care. "Why do you want to show me this?" he asks. Julia answers slowly. "Because I thought, maybe you want to know who he was, and maybe I wanted to know who you are too." Mark looks at her. Her eyes are soft and honest. "I don't have much family," he says. "Maybe this is something." Julia smiles a little. "Maybe." Mark's hands shake a little. "Wait," he says. "This says, our son." "Yes," Julia says. "That's why I called you." Mark reads more. "You said his name is Mark. If he ever wants to find me, I live in Hilltown now." He looks at Julia. "Are you saying this letter is from my father?" "I think so," she says. Mark feels cold. He never knew his father. His mother said he left before Mark was born. He reads another letter. "I send small gifts for Mark. Please give them to him." Mark looks at Julia again. "I never got anything." Julia nods. "Maybe your mother didn't want you to know." There is silence. Then Mark says, "Do you know where this man is now?" Julia takes a deep breath. He died in 2005, she says. Mark feels like the air is heavy. So many questions. So many years too late. The next day, Mark finishes work at 4 p.m. He changes his shirt, combs his hair, and drives to Green Lake. He does not know what to expect. He finds Julia's address. It's a small yellow house with flowers in front. He rings the bell. A woman opens the door. She is about 30 years old, with dark hair and kind eyes.
"Hi, I'm Julia," she says and smiles.
"Hi, I'm Mark."
"Come in," she says.
He walks into the house. It smells like tea and books. There are photos on the wall, some old, some new. They sit at the kitchen table. Julia brings tea and opens a box.
"These are the letters,"
she says. Mark looks at them. The paper is yellow. The handwriting is small and soft. One letter begins, "Dear Sarah, I miss you every day. I hope our son is happy." Mark looks up.
"Sarah?"
he asks.
"That was my grandmother,"
Julia says.
"She died last year."
Mark does not understand. Why is his name in old letters from the 1970s? He thinks for a moment, then says, "Yes, we can meet. Where do you live?" "I live in Green Lake," Julia says. "Do you know it?" "Yes, it's 40 minutes from here." "Can you come tomorrow? Around 5 p.m? Mark feels nervous, but he says, "OK, I will come." After the call, he sits on the couch. His coffee is cold now. He looks out the window. The street is quiet, but in his head many thoughts are loud. Who is Julia? Why does her grandmother write about him? Did she know his father or mother? Mark's parents died long ago. They never talked much about the past. He never asked. Now, maybe he will learn something important. It is 7:45 in the morning. Mark drinks his coffee and looks at the clock. He must leave for work in 5 minutes. His job is the same every day. He works at a car repair shop. He fixes cars, drinks tea, and talks to his friend Tom. That's all. Mark is 34. He lives alone. He does not have a girlfriend now. He had one 2 years ago, but she left. Since then, every day feels the same. Today starts like any other day, but then his phone rings. It is a strange number. He thinks for a second and picks it up. "Hello?" he says. "Hello, is this Mark Davis?" a woman's voice asks. "Yes." "My name is Julia. I don't know you, but I found your name in my grandmother's old letters." Mark stops. He does not know what to say. "Letters?" he asks. "Yes," Julia says. "They are very old, from the 1970s, and your name is in them many times." Mark feels cold and confused. "Can we meet?" Julia asks. A few months later, Mark wakes up early. He walks to the small bakery near his home. He buys 2 coffees and 2 croissants. Then he walks to Julia's house. She opens the door and smiles. "Good morning," she says. "Good morning," he says. "Breakfast is here." They sit at the table. There are flowers on it, small yellow flowers Julia picked yesterday. Mark says, "Do you remember the first time we met?" Julia laughs. "Of course, I called a stranger about old letters." "And I almost didn't answer." "I'm glad you did," she says softly. He takes a small box from his pocket. He opens it. Inside is a simple ring. Julia puts her hand over her mouth. "Julia," he says, "I don't want more lost stories. I want to make new ones, with you." She starts to cry, but she is smiling. "Yes," she says. They hug. The morning sun shines through the window. Outside, the town is quiet. But inside that small kitchen, 2 people start a new chapter of life, together. Later that evening, they sit near the lake. The sun goes down slowly, the water shines with orange light. Mark says, I feel like I missed so much, but now I feel better, I know more. Julia looks at him. I think you found more than you lost. He nods. Maybe I found part of my story, and maybe I found a friend too. Julia smiles, or more than a friend? Mark looks at her. I didn't expect this, he says. Me neither, she says, but sometimes life is strange and beautiful. He takes her hand. They sit in silence, holding hands, watching the sunset. For the first time in years, Mark feels peace.